everyone, welcome back to another video about a children's trading card game. I am sorry I'm really late on this. I've been basically very busy all over the place. I've been traveling, I've been having a great old time, but as a result I've basically fallen behind on pretty much everything. So I'm going to do my best to try and get out all the content I promised you over this month. So lore videos for Gate Rule are coming, obviously insert 4 stuff as well. But what this video is about, and what I'm sure you're all here for and what you're all interested in, is the One Piece trading card game. So you saw my excitement when this game was announced, and essentially in this video I'm going to be talking about the rules. We got told basically what they are, and in the next video on this game I'll be going over the card reveals we have so far. We've got Luffy, we've got Kaido, we've got a bunch of other units, and I'll be going over some of the artworks as well, basically the stuff we have to date. And that'll be cool too. But for now, I'm basically going to give my thoughts on this. And if you enjoy this and you want to stick around for, I assure you, lots of One Piece content, because I'm going to be going hard on this game, getting very sweaty indeed. Especially considering, a little bit of a spoiler, the game looks to be quite similar to Dragon Ball Super. So if you enjoy the way that card game played, not talking about the IP, Dragon Ball Super sucks. Original Dragon Ball, by the way, one of the greatest things ever written. Dragon Ball Z, pretty good. Dragon Ball Super, absolute dog shit. Then, yeah, if you like the way that card game plays, then you're probably going to be very interested in One Piece, or if you like One Piece, you're going to be interested in One Piece. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you to Freedom Duo, by the way, for making these slides. So, we'll go over the card types. Firstly, there is the leader. This will be very familiar if you play Dragon Ball. So there's a power in the top right, there's an ability text, obviously, in the box, and then there is life. The life of the leader determines how many cards you place face down at the start of the game, and how much life you have. Face down from the top of your deck, basically in front of your leader. Very similar to Dragon Ball. Then there are Don cards. These are like energy cards. They are used for paying costs, and you may also attach them to your leader or your character cards to increase their power by 1,000, so that's pretty interesting. Players will get 2 additional Don cards each turn, up to a maximum of 10, but the first player will only ever gain 1 Don card during their turn. So going first, you only start with 1 energy, essentially, which is a very interesting restriction, and that combined with the hand restriction that we're going to see does make me think that going second is going to be a lot better in this game, but we'll see. Then there's character types. So you have a cost in the top left-hand corner, then if you have your power in your top right, and then any ability text in the box. There are also cards there are also these, I think they're called counters, which we will discuss as and when they show up. But these are the main types of cards you're going to be seeing in your deck, these character cards. And then there's events. So these are just like, they're events, you know, like, so they have a cost, they don't have power or anything, and they just do a certain ability. You play them by playing your Don cards, and you discard them from your hand to play them. So I'm not sure what that means for resolution purposes. There doesn't seem to be too much interaction in this game. Like, there's some, but not a massive amount, so I don't think it'll really matter the specifics there. And they come with lots of different abilities, and there are cards can only play on your opponent's turn. So the confirmation that there is interaction here is obviously very, very nice. Obviously, lots of interaction there potentially is quite exciting, but I think, you know, as with all of these things, let's not get too excited. It is set 1, obviously, so I don't think we're going to expect anything too crazy, but the potential is there. And speaking of potential, on these Don cards, I do find it very interesting that there is a Don deck, because otherwise, I wouldn't advertise like that there being a deck or something if there wasn't potential down the line for these cards to be different things. So at the moment they only give plus 1,000 power, but I wouldn't be surprised if that changes and you're allowed to add in things that do other things. Like instead of giving 1,000 power, potentially you like heal 1, or you like I don't know, like that'd be crazy broken, but like, you know, like other things like draw a card or something when it's returned to the Don deck or some shit. Like, I don't know, very interesting. Anyway. Then there are stages, so these are like field spells. You can play them on the field with Don cards, everything is played with Don cards. And they have different abilities that support your leaders and characters, and we'll talk about all these card effects in the next video. Then there is the field, so there is the character area in the top, where you can have up to 5 characters, a la Yu-Gi-Oh! The leader card goes underneath that, interestingly. Then there is the stage card, which is next to it, so you can only have 1 stage card per player. Then there is the deck next to the stage card zone. Then below that is the cost area. This is where you're going to be putting all your Don cards. To the left of that cost area is the Don deck, and to the right of that cost area is your trash. And then life all the way to the left-hand side there. Typically, you know, this like shield, like securities, like Digimon there. So I'm, you know, mildly, we'll see what happens with the life thing. I don't mind a bit of randomness, but if you played Digimon when that game came out, you might remember a certain card known as Gaia Force, which alone would just swing a game if you hit it. in your securities. So I'm hoping the counter abilities in this game that you gain from like hitting them off life are not going to be that broken. The other thing is, in this game, life when it's destroyed goes to your hand. It doesn't go to a discard or anything like some other games. So preparation, you need one leader card, a 50 card deck that shares the same color as your leader. So you can only play cards with the same color in your deck. And a Don deck with 10 Don cards. By the way, the backs on these cards just look so clean. But yeah, interesting there on the deck building thing. I say interesting, I mean that kind of sucks. The advantage is obviously going to be the game's going to be cheaper as a result. More than likely, you're never going to see mixing. The only demand is going to come from particular color players. So like you're kind of putting a hard cap on how much a card could ever be desired there. There is no generics. There's none of that. And it's much easier to deck build, right? There's a more limited card pool. There's no mixing, no nothing. You don't have to worry about like colors and or like mana ratios and all sorts. Like it all goes completely out the window. The downside is, arguably, there's a loss in skill there. It's kind of debatable on a lot of the aspects there, but I certainly think in terms of deck building and deck building creativity, like that is putting a cap on it. Which is unfortunate, though. If the colors are diverse enough, it won't really matter. But we will see. Okay. You place your deck, non-decks on restricted areas, lead a card in designated areas, decider goes first, draw 5. You may get a full mulligan, so this game is launching with a full mulligan, which I think will probably be quite appreciated. And then after your mulligan, you do your life. Wow, that was really professional. After your mulligan, you do your life, and you put it face down according to your leader life. And then the first player starts their turn. Worth saying, the first player does not draw a card, but the second player does. So there's big negs for going first. You win by successfully attacking an opponent's leader while they have 0 life, so it's like you have 6 life in this game, and your opponent has 0 cards in deck. So it seems like it's the second you hit 0, that also loses you the game. So turn sequence, there's the refresh phase, you activate all rested cards, and you return all attached Don cards to your Don zone. So, that's interesting. Draw phase, draw 1. Don phase, add 2 Don cards to your cost area. Main phase, you play cards, you attack with your leaders or characters. It seems you can do that in any order. And then the end phase, you pass it up to the opponent. So during the refresh phase, you turn your cards 90 degrees. And yeah, I think like the fact that all the Don cards go back is quite interesting. So you can pay them for costs and then use them to buff things up. There's some more details there on these slides. And in the main phase, you can play a card, attach a Don card, activate card effects, and attack in any sequence you wish. So you play a card by resting the same amount of Don cards in your cost area as the cost needed to play the card, and then you place the event card played into the trash or the character card onto the field. You may attach active Don cards in your cost area onto one of your leaders or characters. And if the card with the Don card leaves the field, you put the Don card back into the cost area so you don't lose it. Or you can activate card effects, and there's some interesting bits to talk about there in a moment, but worth saying, yeah, so that attach a Don card thing, it's like it costs 1. So it costs 1 and you move your Don card to it. I think that's pretty cool, pretty tactile. I'm not sure, it's interesting that you have this sort of inbuilt way to always spend mana, right? Like you are always going to spend all of your Don, right? Like it's always going to happen. And I think putting Dons onto your leader is going to be really strong because like that's presumably the way you win battles, is the way you deal damage is by having more power than the leader. So if you slap 3 Dons onto your leader to make it like 8,000 or something, it's going to be really difficult for it to be beat over. You just might not be able to take any damage that turn. So that's kind of interesting. On terms of the activate effects, there's a couple different ways of playing costs. There's Don times 1 or whatever, which is you may activate this if you have a Don card attached, so there's going to be effects that are restricted to having Dons. Then there's Don -1s, which require you to return Dons back to the Don deck, so you permanently lose mana, which is very interesting. Or there's activate mains, which is you use them by resting Don cards, and that's the traditional way that costs are paid in card games. So I think this is a really interesting set of restrictions around this Don mechanic, and I think this is the big selling point of the game to me, beyond it being One Piece, is this Don system. I think Bandai, with Digimon and with this, they've hit it out of the park with the resource systems. I think they're very, very interesting. Now, unfortunately, with Digimon, I think they went complete off the rails with the card design, and the mana system is completely fucking irrelevant and not interesting at all. But hopefully with One Piece, they can keep this being interesting, and it's not just there to entice people at the beginning. In terms of attacks, You may attack by resting a leader or character on your field from active. Characters cannot attack at the same time they enter the field, so if there's summoning sickness, this is going to be a slower game. And the first player cannot attack. So the first player cannot attack, they don't draw a card, and they only get 1 Don. So basically, going first is just going to be slap a Don on your leader and pass, like realistically. I don't know how good that is. Though, to be fair, you're not going to be taking damage on your turn either, so maybe going first is actually okay because of summoning sickness. During the attack step, you choose an attack target by resting a leader or character. There's no link attacks or anything, it's just one at a time. And you activate all attacking effects after you choose your target. Then there's the block step, and the attacked player may activate the abilities of the characters with blocker, which will allow them to block with that card. And then there's the counter step, where the attack player may play cards with counter from their hand, and these are characters or events. And counter will basically do whatever it says on the card. Then there is the damage step, where you compare the power of the attacking card with the target. If the attacking card has higher power, it wins the battle. So if a leader was attacked and it loses the battle, you take a damage. So obviously, you can see why slapping Dons on leaders is going to be quite strong. If the character was attacked, it loses the battle, it just gets knocked out and you put it into the trash. And if the attacking card loses, nothing happens. If your leader is to receive damage, you add 1 card from your life to your hand, and then if the added card has the trigger effect, you can reveal it and activate that trigger effect. And if your life is 0 when your leader receives damage, you lose the game. So that is the rules for the One Piece trading card game. What do I think? Well, as I said, I think, as is quite clear, it's very similar to Bandai's other games, very similar to Digimon, very similar to Dragon Ball in particular, not as similar to, like, Digimon has, you know, some unique things over at the racing area and that sort of thing. Like, Digimon's far more unique, I think, than Dragon Ball Super, but yeah, this is very reminiscent of Dragon Ball Super, and it works. I think Dragon Ball Super is a really fun game. Unfortunately, it's completely basically died here in the UK due to a large number of mismanagement issues in terms of just getting the product across. Like, I think the game would still be doing quite well if they had been able to bring the product, not 6 months behind the US release, which is obviously very unfortunate, and kept tournament sport going. There were no tournaments or anything. It seems like with Digimon, they've fixed a lot of the issues that plagued the Dragon Ball launch. That's not to say Digimon didn't also have a shit ton of launch issues as well, and I think a big reason why the game is nowhere near as big as people were hoping is these, you know, laughable delays, right? Like, you know, Digimon launch was an absolute catastrophe, and a lot of places don't stock it at all nowadays. So I'm hoping One Piece is they're gonna have learned from all these, and it's gonna be a great launch. You know, it's global. It's going global this year. They've planned this to be a global launch. They know, right? So I think it's really exciting. I think the game looks very fun. I'm very interested to see what happens with the Don system. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on these rules on the One Piece card game in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here, and please stay tuned for follow-up videos where I'll be discussing all the cards that have been revealed so far. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.